a lot of times we'd set up in the edge of tree lines and things. We weren't always just out in the middle of the open. Um, you're always thinking about who's around, and never knowing what they are. You can't see them usually until they start firing, and especially at night. It's you start getting a feel for what areas would be a little safer than other areas, and that kind of thing.
Right.
But you don't walk down trails, and you don't walk if there's a village with a little fence and a gate. You don't walk through the gate because that's where a booby trap will be.
Right.
Things that you learn like that you learn from the other people when you're there. You just follow everybody else. That's one thing too, though. Nobody wanted to get real close to a new guy because the new guy didn't know much and he'd get you killed. It took a while for people to have some trust in you, to see that you could do what you were supposed to do, and that you weren't, just going to get them killed. The main things we wanted were Kool-Aid to put in the water. Some of the water didn't taste that great, and we had to put malaria pills in it, so that didn't help the taste anymore. So we like to have Kool-Aid. But whenever you get a care package, they bring them out when we're out in the field. They bring them with the helicopter, with the mail, and you get one. And of course, you're going to be moving here in a couple hours. You're going to be leaving that area, so you don't have to carry it. So you just open it, and everybody dives in from all around. It doesn't last long. I mean, you grab the things that you really want first, and then just say, "Here it is," and so everybody takes it. The C rations you got pretty tired of, so we really love to get things like canned fruit, and pineapples, and fruit cocktail, and things like that. That was a real treat. Candy and cookies. Of course, most of the stuff was broken when you got it, cookies and things. But it was just something different from the C rations every day, and it was great. We'd come back into the rear area, and we were sitting around on top of a bunker, and there were several other bunkers right close by, just sitting there. We're inside the perimeter of the big base, so we feel like we're safe, at least in the daytime. And one of the other Marines who I didn't know well, I hadn't been there that long, but he walked by us, and probably 10 feet past us, and turned and walked into this bunker. And all of a sudden there's a big explosion, and there's not supposed to be anything in there but flares and things like that. So it was a real scary thing all of a sudden. and from the flares, green smoke starts billowing out of the thing. It's a small bunker anyway. And so I ran over there. Well, I was 10 feet away when it happened. And I ran over there, and the guy is laying in there, just his feet. I can see his feet in the beginning of the bunker. So I go in the edge and grab his feet and start pulling on him to get him out. And I got him about halfway out, I guess, and the smoke got me, and I fell back. And the guy came running up with a gas mask on and went in and got him the rest of the way out. And a grenade it had been booby trapped, the bunker had, and the grenade had gone off in his face when he walked in. The corpsman said he thought he was probably killed instantly, but we at the time, you don't take that for granted. You got to try. And corpsman ran up. We turned him over and was pounding on his chest, and his face was messed up pretty bad, and he had a hole in his throat, and he was bleeding pretty good. And the corpsman told me to try to blow in that and get some air into him, and so I'm doing that, and the corpsman's pounding on his chest, and we did that for a little while, and nothing ever happened. He never had a pulse. So the corpsman called it, pronounced him dead, and I didn't. You're in a little bit of shock, and your adrenaline's up and everything. You don't think much about it. But the lieutenant then came running up, and he knew I hadn't been there long and hadn't seen much of anything yet. And I had blood all over my mouth from this guy, and he asked, sat me down and talked to me a minute and said, "You okay?" I said, "I think so. I think I'm all right." And the guy had come in the Marine Corps on the buddy system with a good friend of his, and they were both in our platoon. And they were getting toward the end of their tour. He didn't have too long to go until he would have gone home. And they had to hold back his friend. They didn't even want him to see him. He was messed up pretty bad. So that's the first one I saw. First person of any kind I saw killed. It's hard to say. I guess it must have. I sure think about it at times. Various things will bring it up. A certain explosion or flares, or I see green smoke. That's what I think about. I guess I'm sure it must have had some effect. At the time, I didn't think it had any. But I'm sure I was in shock at the time. So, well, of course, I flew to Hawaii and met my first wife. Stayed in a beautiful hotel on the beach in Waikiki that someone had recommended who'd been there. It was very nice. I couldn't get over having clean sheets and having a tiled restroom. Clean, everything clean. It was real hard to adjust to that. We went to dinner and met with other people. I met on the plane going there, and I guess we were there 6 or 7 days, something like that. But after just a couple of days, I can remember thinking, what am I doing here when these guys are back there fighting and maybe dying? And here I am sleeping in clean sheets. I said, I felt like I shouldn't be there. I don't remember talking to my wife about that, but I can remember feeling pretty guilty about being there.